I'm originally from Venezuela, Caracas, yeah.
Okay.
What kind of artwork do I do? I do photography, digital photography. I had just come back from Israel. For the first time I was ever in Israel. I came back and it's not that I had an intimate passion for photography, but I brought in my pocket camera for the trip. And I took pictures of what I thought was the most beautiful scenery I had ever seen.
Okay.
And I think being in the Jewish land, it just made it that much more special. So I was really excited to come back home and look at the beautiful pictures of the beautiful scenery that I had seen. And they turned out to be the ugliest pictures I had ever taken. And I realized it was unfair to the experience that I had in the Jewish state as a Jewish person. The feelings that I felt, I think it was very unfair the way the pictures came out. And so I told myself that from that moment on I wanted to try and capture beauty that's out there for what it was. I guess the ideal behind my work is I try to find beauty in simple things. And that's a challenge, because it's usually things that you see every day, everywhere. To me, simple means everyday things that we take for granted. So usually what I do is I go out on an assignment, whether I'm inspired or whether I want to go outside and find inspiration. And I shoot, let's say, 200 shots, put it that way. Then I come home and I pick probably the best 5, the best 10. Those are the ones that end up coming out of that session. And I would spend, for some reason, I always find myself editing them not right away, usually a couple of days later, where I sort of, to me, editing is also part of the creative process after. And I do edit a lot of my shots in very sort of tedious ways. So I would say that I spend almost just as much time editing than I do shooting. Eventually, I'd like to have my own exhibit. Just to where, I've been part of other vernissages and exhibits where I've showcased my work, but to have at least one day where I can just showcase many of my pieces and have just a night where people that I care about just come in and enjoy them. Well, when I started doing photography and I was sort of looking up other people's works, there is a photographer in the States who's a young guy as well. His name is Chase Jarvis, and he does a lot of commercial work. But what I particularly like about his work is the fact that the way that he uses editing, which I'm also a big fan of. So him, I think he is one of the he's very modern. He actually uses one of the same cameras that one of his many cameras is actually the camera that I have. So maybe there's a little bit of that there too. Just knows how to bring out colors in the right way without it being too much. And he sort of mixes art with marketing and art with advertising and art with like prime human emotions, and it's just it's just really a pleasure to look at. I have a particular position on copyright, and in that I don't necessarily believe in copyright, because I don't think a piece of work or a piece of art ever means the same thing to people. And I think even if you were to steal, let's say, somebody's image or somebody's concept, I don't think you can really, you could claim it as yours if you want, let's say, and sort of break that copyright, but never really you will never really be able to sort of express or have the same intention as the original artist. So why am I telling you all of this? It's because I don't see the controversy necessarily in using art to put out a message, because people will ultimately interpret it in a different way. Each their own interpretation, and why not? I sort of learned to appreciate Montreal that much more, and I really realized how beautiful a city it was when I started taking pictures of it. And I think Montreal has a huge scene for the arts. has in fact, contrary to a lot of people, what a lot of people sort of believe deeply, a lot of resources compared to other places in the world for the arts. Even though there's funding that are being cut for whatever reason, I still think that the art scene is actually very prominent. And what's pleasantly surprising is that it's actually more and more young people that are going out there. And you know, usually think of artists as really very extravagant kind of 50-year-old men who've painted all their lives and they have these crazy stories. But honestly, more and more it's become these young people that have sort of this need to express themselves in a way that they hadn't done so before. And it's I think in Montreal is a huge community for that.